Good evening. Welcome to Elyria City Council meeting for March 7, 2024. At this time, we'll take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Davis, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I'd ask everybody here in the viewing audience if you could please turn your phone to the silent mode or off, out of respect for the council chambers. Be greatly appreciated. Mr. Clerk, I have roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sierra.
Here.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Sawerka.
Here.
Mr. Lippian.
Here.
Mr. Tolet.
Here.
All present.
Public hearing? Public hearings?
You are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held on Monday, October 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to consider the following. An ordinance amending Section 1131.02 Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, known as the zoning ordinance, to rezone certain real property located at 218 Prospect Street, Elyria, Ohio, from a B-N Business Neighborhood District to a L-I Light Industrial District.
Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? I declare this public hearing has been held.
An ordinance amending Section 1131.02 Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, known as the zoning ordinance, to rezone certain real property located at 218 Prospect Street, Elyria, Ohio, from a B-N Business Neighborhood District to a L-I Light Industrial District.
Mr. Callahan,
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed on its third reading.
Second.
second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2024-154.
There are no minutes? at
No, we
this
have one
time?
more, we have one more public hearing.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry. I'm just making sure I got the right legislation here. You are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held on Monday, October 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to consider the following. An ordinance to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances to provide for the adoption of new matter in the updated revised codified ordinances and repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewithin.
Are there any proponents? Law Director Deary?
Thank you, through you, Mr. President. Amanda Deary, Elyria Law Director, 131 Court Street, Suite 201, Elyria, Ohio. This is a housekeeping measure that the Law Director's Office, in collaboration with the Clerk of Counsel's Office, we go through several years. American Legal Publishing Corporation is our vendor, and we as a city, go through the recodification process. This will bring up to date online our codified ordinances. The legislation itself is fairly standard. The exhibit does go through the specific provisions of our codifieds that will be updated. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for the Law Director in regards to that?
Through you, Mr. President, and just to confirm, this was sponsored by Rolls Committee.
Okay. Any other questions? Are there any other proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? I declare this public hearing has been held.
An ordinance to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various components codes of the codified ordinances to provide for the adoption of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances and repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewithin.
Mr. Sarah,
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second.
second by Mr. Tolet. Is there any further discussion
Question?
on the suspension? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2024-155. That's all the public hearings?
There are no minutes at this particular time. We'll get them at the next full council meeting. Remarks and reports from city officials. Mayor Brubaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just two quick items. One, earlier this year, we put out to bid the addition of baseball fields at South Park for the Elyria South Baseball Club. We got no bidders on that, and due to the work of our engineering department reaching out to multiple contractors, we did get 6 on this last round. And with the help of the law director's office in regards to the engineer's estimate cost, we were able to sign that contract today. That money is being utilized from CDBG as well as Issue 6, and I was assured by Ms. McKillips today that the work would start yet this year and go into the spring of 2025. So they likely will not be able to use those fields in the spring of '25, but certainly as we move into '26, so we're happy to announce that. The second thing is I know for a few years, I almost called her Director Swerka, but Councilwoman Swerka and I worked with a gentleman in Avon Lake, Mayor Greg Zilka, who is now retired. I just wanted to acknowledge him. He is here this evening. He served 12 years as the mayor in Avon Lake and over 30 years in public service. He said he wanted to come to see how the professionals did it tonight. So thank you for coming, Mr. Zilka, and I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Welcome, Mayor Zilka. Any questions for the mayor in regards to his comments? Very good. Safety Service Director, Mr. Pianowski.
Thank you, and through you, I have no report this evening, but I'm available for questions should you have any.
Any questions for the director? No? Finance Director Plesky.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
You're healing well?
Made it through the second surgery.
Good. Good to hear. Very good. Any questions for the Finance Director? No. Law Director Deary.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, I have no report this evening, but as always, I am available for questions either now or you can catch me in my office or on email. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the Law Director? No. Ms. Sawerka.
Thank you. Through the chair, what is the status of our adult use marijuana revisions? Will we be getting something to start to consider soon?
Through you, Mr. President, Mrs. Swerka, yes, there's a final draft being circulated in my office of proposed legislation. The matter will need to go to Planning Commission. They will have to have a public hearing at that stage, and then it will obviously make its way to Council Committee first and then full Council.
Elyria Police Department, Chief Pelko.
Good evening. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we swore in 4 officers this afternoon to our force. 3 of them will have to go to the academy, and 1 already has the academy, so he'll start out right away in the training program. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for anybody.
Mr. Tolet.
Through you, Mr. President, wanted to give you congratulations. I saw our new neighborhood impact unit was on the job literally hours and made their first impact to our community, so thank you very much. Please let all the team know.
Yeah, since it's been brought up that we made 7 arrests and taken 1 gun off the street so far.
Very good.
So
Very good.
it's working.
Very good. Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Elyria Fire Department, Chief Pernesti. Any questions for the chief, if he has any? Anybody have any? Very good. Engineering, Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to update council on a few projects. East Broad Street, all the asphalt has been put down. Now, the only things we're going to wait on to be completed are the adjustments of the manholes, catch basins, water valves, things of that nature, pavement markings, and signage. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that project will be complete. Cleveland Street, the contractor is continuing on as far as milling and paving. They were milling today, they will be milling tomorrow, and later on this week, weather permitted, they will be paving the final courses as well. Traffic lights are all complete on both projects, just waiting for pavement markings and the asphalt to be completed on these things so that they can turn some of them on. Some of them are already on, but there's a few that need the new pavement markings. Abbey Road South, work should start next Monday. So essentially, East Broad Street will be mostly done. So we're going to start going into Abbey Road South. Milling should start on Monday or Tuesday with full depth a day or so after that. And then hopefully the intermediate course will be putting down later on this week. Furnace Street should be a couple weeks behind that. Same contractor who has Abbey Road South will be completing Furnace Street as well. I believe they're waiting on a few stormwater catch basins to be delivered before they can get started out there. And I have not received confirmation yet on Midway Boulevard, but we anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks, all these projects are quick mill and fills, so they shouldn't take too long. So with that, any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Oswald and then Mr. Sarah.
Through you, Mr. President. So if you could explain to me why last year our streets that we have done, the asphalt's all done, our concrete cut out and repair goes towards the end of the year when you need warm weather. And so then, like now, we finally finished our concrete from last year, and our new concrete cutouts and repairs are not going to make it probably again for this year. It'll probably be for next year, but they're two different companies. So could you explain why it has to be this way and we always got to wait? Thank you.
Thank you to you, to the chair. It's not a matter of having to wait. It's just unfortunately some of those things take a lot more time to prepare the documents for, especially concrete, because we go out and hand measure a lot of locations. The contractor for the concrete repair project, they will be starting here, from what I was told, November 1st. So the first week of November, they're going to start. Probably won't complete. They do have a completion date of June 1st of next year. So we did give them enough time to complete it. We don't want to rush them into the weather. But unfortunately, there's a lot going on in our department, and those, unfortunately, we're lagging a little bit behind.
Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Mr. President, a couple of different questions. One, Cleveland Street, that does not have a top coat on it from East Bridge to North Ridgeville, or to Hawthorne?
The asphalt from Perry Court roughly to Hawthorne, that is the final surface. We're waiting for pavement markings
So
for
those
that.
catch basins are going to get lowered?
Yes, they're still waiting to lower all that.
Okay. And then on Wesley, and that project over there, which,
The water main's all in. Services, I believe they're either finishing the final services or they just finished those last week. And then they're going to go right into the resurfacing of the road. So should see that. That'd probably take about another 2 weeks to complete that. But they are moving right along.
thank you.
Ms. Sawerka?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for the update on South Abbey. Could I follow up on Mr. Oswald's question about the concrete repairs? So there won't be any concrete repairs done on the 2024 list? Is that what I understood your answer to be?
No, they will be starting the concrete repairs this year, first week of November.
Okay.
So they will start those.
And lastly, anything updated from the railroad, on the railroad changes there at East Bridge?
Unfortunately not. I did have limited communications with them. They just requested what we were doing on East Bridge Street to finalize their drawings, and I've never heard back from them. I will reach back out again and see if I can't get their final plans, because they from their previous schedule, they were looking to go out here at the end of this year, so.
Ms. Davis?
Through you, Chair. Ms. Snyder, so you talked about Furnace Street. Are we going to pave Furnace from Lake Avenue to Route 57, you know, connecting into with West River. That was part, I thought, of the deal that we do Furnace at the Fork, from Lake to the Fork, and then do West River, complete West River out to Route 57. Is that going to happen?
So Furnace Street is an Ohio Public Works project. That was approved last year. And that's the project's going on this year. So we're going to resurface from Lake Avenue to 5 Points. The West River Road did not make the cut from last year. It is top on our list for next year's Ohio Public Works, which we still are waiting on final approval on those. We should know hopefully in the next couple months as far as what streets are potentially going to make the list next year.
Davis. Mr. Schneider.
Through you, Mr. President, to Engineer Schneider. I was just wondering, there's two cones on Leo Bullocks that have been there for quite a while, westbound, like west of Murray Ridge. I think they're near drain grates. Do you know what the situation is with those? I know you have a lot going on, so.
Unfortunately, I don't. I know the street department was out there before doing some work, but we'll send somebody out to see what's going
Okay,
on.
they've been there for months, so I didn't know
Okay.
what the situation was. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Schneider.
Thank you.
Mr. Farkas, Chief Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Several demolition updates. We have 131 Warden. We had a detached structure that was in poor condition. That has been removed. The abatement of 381 and 382 Furnace, the two homes there have been recently completed, and those are slated for demolition most likely this week. Follow-up regarding some concerns council had regarding 131 William Street, the old Blue Star. We had reached out to the ownership, made contact. We are working with them currently to resolve some issues. And that is the same for the old Friendlies at 204 Broad Street. We're working and reaching out with them. Other than that, 611 Lowell Street, at long last, is in compliance. So, Donna, that one is closed. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Farkas? Ms. Swerka?
Thank you, through the chair. The two houses on Furnace, are those houses the ones that back up to Mendel Court by Cascade there?
Mr. President, through you, one does, the other is across the street.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mr. Oswald, then we'll go Mr. Lippy, and then Ms. Davis. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President, I'm not sure if I caught this, but did you have the status of the old Friendlies store on East Broad Street?
Mr. President,
I did not hear that.
Yes, we did reach out to the ownership and are currently working with them regarding the projects they have.
Thank you. Hearing aids.
Mr. Lippian?
Through you, Mr. President, thank you. So in regards to that sort of a nondescript ambiguity, projects and things they're working on with them, are we going to hear what these things might be in the near future, and what future council meeting would we hear about what exactly those developments are?
Mr. President, through you, are you talking in regards to 131 Williams and
Both the old Blue Star and the old Friendlies.
131 Williams is a proposed asphalt company resurfacing, and 204 East Broad, the Friendlies, has not disclosed, but it's assumed to be akin to what it was, a restaurant.
Okay, no, I'm actually referring to the individual projects that you're working out with them. Are we going to hear at a future council meeting a development on those?
Okay. I can prepare, yes, Mr. President, through you, I can prepare a detailed list regarding our current residential status, current commercial status, and bring council up to speed in regards to all projects, if that's what you wish.
Just in regards as my concerns is Ward 1, so I'm particularly referring to the old Friendlies and the old Blue Star, and perhaps there's an appropriate reason you can't disclose more at this time. I'm just merely suggesting at some future council meeting if you perhaps could.
I'll look into that, thank you.
Thank you. Look into that, or we'll do that.
Yes. I will do my best to find out what's
Your
going
best?
on at the old Friendlies.
Okay, because look into that's kind of like the government dodge, but I appreciate it if you could.
If they don't respond.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Ms. Davis?
Through you, Mr. President. Always on minds is what's going on with the Old Days Inn, with such wonderful projects that's happening in that ward at the time. Groundbreaking is wonderful, so that came up at one of the groundbreaking projects. What is going on with Days Inn?
Mr. President, through you to Mrs. Davis, to my knowledge, it is still in the court process. I will have to defer to the law director for further information.
Through you, Mr. President, Mr. Farkas, the nuisance case in Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas is proceeding. We are still in perfecting service. I don't want to get too far in the weeds with this, but the certified mail came back unclaimed due to the fact it's coming from New Jersey and dealing with the Postal Service. We are moving forward with that. There has been some informal correspondence, I understand, with administration. However, the owner, not surprisingly, has not committed to doing anything. So we are moving forward with the court process, and I am optimistic that with the next council meeting or two, I should have something more concrete to update you on as far as that case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Armstrong?
For you, Mr. President. Can you tell me what's going on with 804 West Ave? That house is in really bad shape, and the roof looks like it's going to fall anytime soon.
Mr. President, through you, I will look into that address and shoot you an email.
For you, Mr. President. And also, I just want to send a shout out to your team for getting 826 boarded up again very quickly. It's been a nuisance on my list of things, so thank you.
No worries.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Mr. Farkas, I just wanted to say thank you for putting up with me. On Lowell Street, I know that I bugged your eyeballs out, but the residents are very happy. It looks 100% better. And it's a shame that it took all of that just to get them to comply. It's their business, you would think, but thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from Mr. Farkas? Thank you, Mr. Farkas. Wastewater Superintendent, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on some of the projects that we've been performing at wastewater since the beginning of the year. The first one is our Energy Master Plan, and really it's 3 parts. So with the Energy Master Plan, we've been looking at how do we reduce our energy or curtail. Being such a large user, we figure this is the best way that we could to save money. So we've been working on that process, and we've actually made some improvements, and we've been able to lower our energy usage by roughly $6,000 to $8,000 a month. That's what the initial results are. So it's still a little early in it, but it is promising. Just last month, we received a report because the second part of the master plan is how do we generate energy? And the first thing that we looked into is we did a solar array initial design. So we wanted to see if we could put solar panels. Thank you. We wanted to see if we could put solar panels at the plant because the ones that have been there, we have a bunch of open fields. So we did a design, and it was a 0.8 megawatt system up to a 1 megawatt system, and it would save roughly 20 to 25% of our electric usage a year. So with the report, it's actually quite feasible for us to do so. So this was just the initial design. I've worked with Engineer McKillips, and she's putting together an RFQ to actually get some more hard numbers on that. And the initial cost was $2 million, but we would be able to utilize the 30% ITC credit. So that brought it down to $1.4 million, and it would have an annual savings of, or a total life savings of $4.4 million. So once again, it is quite feasible for us to do so. And then the last thing that we're looking into is biogas utilization. So right now, we flare all of our methane. So we've been going to other municipalities and cities and seeing how they've been using it. And a lot of them are using it in different ways, but instead of just flaring it off like we are, they're running generators with them and creating more electricity. We had biogas meters installed to quantify how much biogas we've been creating and flaring, and it would roughly offset 50% of our electric usage as well. So over a 30-year life, like the solar panels, it was the number was quite high, but like I said, we'd have to look more into that, but that is something that we are looking into. And as I get updates, I'll let you guys know as well.
Good.
if you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Stewart? Well, Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I know we had conversation on those biotanks because I know somebody that does that. And just a comment to let you know that Mr. Stewart's been going to some of these meetings with other people in other towns to find out, you know, what these things do, if they save money, talk to different cities. So I know he's thoroughly involved with that, and I appreciate that because we can get on board with some of these things and really save money and be ahead of the game. So thank you very much.
Any other questions? Ms. Swerka?
Thank you through you, Mr. President. Mr. Stewart, are we still purchasing our energy savings through, I think, is it SES?
Yes, we are
Okay.
still hedging.
There's still our gas and, I think, electric,
Yes, we
kind of
are.
conglomerate. Have you obtained your Class 4 license yet, or is Mr. Corzan still supplementing over there?
Yeah, he's still there, so 2 hours a day, 2 or 3 days a week, if not more. And then, yes, I have still been working on it. In November, I'm going to meet with the committee to get the last part of the process so that I can actually send my application in and my Class 4. But in the meantime, in the current role, it's been very helpful to be able to write my Class 4. So it is moving along.
Good luck to you. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I think that's everybody. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, community development. Item number 2, community development. Item number 3, finance. Item number 4, finance. Item number 5, finance. Item number 6, finance. Item number 7, finance. Item number 8, finance. Item number 9, finance. Item number 10, finance and utilities. Item number 11, finance and utilities. Items 12 through 16, received and placed on file in the clerk's office. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
We have several. First one's Scott Sarzan, 346 Rutgers Court. Subject is Friends of the Library, book sale.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Scott Sarazin, 346 Rutgers Court. I come to you as president of the Friends of the Elyria Public Library, and I would, for the past 55 years, the Friends have held a book sale of donated books in support of the activities for the Elyria Public Library. Each year, we take that money and donate it to the library for projects such as the summer reading program, some of the benches that you see in front of the different branches, and some projects that come up during the year that they need some additional funding on. This year, we'll be holding it this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday out at the Taylor Street office, which is at 1219 Taylor Street. It's on the other side of Route 57. We have literally thousands of books this year. I don't know what it is, but we have histories, mysteries, fiction of all kinds, print, music CDs, large print books. We have lots of those, audio books, and all at discount prices. The most expensive thing you can buy there is $1. So we should probably call it the dollar book sale. So I would encourage you to, if you're tired of reading boring ordinances and resolutions, take a break and go out there and get some really, truly interesting and fun reading fare. And go home and try to purge your mind of all this stuff. If you could also inform your constituents, if you can, that this is a one-year event, and we've always had a good turnout, but you never know, and the more we have, the more we can do for the library. And I'm willing to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Very good. We appreciate your advocacy, Mr. Saracen, for the public library. And I'm sure this will be on your the website.
Yeah, it is on the website, the public library website, and our website, too.
And then through the administration, we could probably have a nice recommendation also as well, just to be an informative piece over and through there.
And there was a poster down in the Parks and Recs department.
Very good. Mr. Lippiam?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, what are the times on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and do you have any philosophy books?
Yes, we do. We have classics, and the only books we don't recycle are political books, medical books, and law books, and anything that's just you wouldn't want it in your house. So we do have a lot of sociology and then religious, and then somewhere in between there with the classics, we put in, the Greek philosophers and things like that. So yeah, we have almost any kind of book you want, except for the three I mentioned.
And what are
we
the
do have
times?
Lots of cookbooks.
And what are the times that you're open?
Okay, I gave you a handout, and it's on there. Friday from 3 to 6, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday from 12 to 4. Now, Sunday, you can go there and for $5 get a large amount of books in a bag or a box.
Great. Just for the public. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Saracen.
Thank you very much.
Kiana McIntosh Farms, 825 Furnace Street, subject Lorraine County Public Health Board.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Kiana McIntosh Farms. I'm at 325 Furnace Street. And it is my pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. President, and all of the officials here. I appreciate the opportunity. It was the mayor who asked me to come and provide an update. I am your elected representative for Elyria that sits on the Lorain County Public Health Board. And I wanted to provide you all an update. I do also want to say that the job that I get paid on is Lorain County Community College, and I'm a proud employee of them. So there are 5 spokes that are on the social determinants of health will, which includes school, medical, social, and jobs. But the one that's often underlooked at, or the one that we are currently working on at the Lorain County Public Health, is the neighborhoods. So with the public health, the focus areas are cleanup. There are both programs help to ensure public safety and health of Illyrians. The health commissioner, who is here with me, just in case there's any questions, and Chris, because Chris was the lawyer for the Public Health Board for many years. They met with judges who determined that those residents who are needing to complete community service, that they would be the individuals that help us with cleanup, and that's been going very, very well. Coordination, or as I like to also say, collaboration, is key. They have been communicating between city officials and health. It's been outstanding. The work is directly with the building officials often, as you heard not that long ago from one of these lovely gentlemen here about the things, the nuisance and things like that. Well, the Lorain County Public Health Board helps to make sure that those things are inspected, and they are the start of those actions. So we work very collaboratively with those individuals. Likewise, funding. Your health department continues to be financially responsible, so much so that just recently we received a multi-million-dollar grant, which is known as the Health Resources and Services Administration. This helps to reduce infant mortality and achieving the most of the programs aimed to better health outcomes. And then, nothing's perfect. There are areas of concern. And so we want to share that with you as well. And that is the O&M program, which I'm sure you've seen probably in the paper even. We have had individuals, Lorain County residents, who were not happy with the fact that they were asked to provide inspections. They were asked to pay for specifically inspections. The state mandated this. The Lorain County Public Health is not at liberty to tell the state that we cannot do this. So that had to be done. But what I'm here to share with you all is that this does not impact Elyria or Elyrians in any way, because majority of them they're on the city sewer. So they're not the individuals upset, okay? And then in regards to areas of opportunity, and I did have the pleasure of providing you all with this, so you do have this breakdown of the outline. But we would like to do better in building relationships with Lorain County residents and specifically schools in terms of, helping them to see what the public health systems, what they do. You can't be what you don't see, right? And so we want to make sure that we are going into the schools and helping individuals understand what professional careers they could, engage in terms of public health. And so then, that is the update, because I wanted to make sure that you had it, and I was grateful that the mayor wanted to make sure that this was brought to City Council, because I think it's important for individuals who sit on boards for you to know what's going on and those whom you appoint or approve. So that's what I have. I do have some questions, but I want to respectfully provide you an opportunity to ask questions as well.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming up here and sharing the information, and you're welcome here anytime. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Armstrong.
Through you, Mr. President. When you said you met with judges, is that adult and juvenile judges to determine the community service projects?
This gentleman walking up here right now will have an answer for you in 1 second.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Mark Adams, 8557 Cherry Ridge Avenue Northwest, Canal Fulton. What we did is we met with the municipal court judges. And so for anybody that maybe got a DUI or a DUS, the program that we started was that we would take them out. We purchased a van and a trailer, and equipment and supplies. So we would take them out to locations that, if we noticed that we went through our process, there were nuisance hearings. We did our body of evidence. We took it to our board. The board issued an order. We then would take that order with the community service workers, and we would do the cleanup. And that's the physical aspect of it, but there's a lot, it's deeper than that as well. We provide education to the cleanup, to the crews that are there. We let them know right in the very beginning, you're not here just to do community service. You're part of cleaning up the neighborhood. It's a greater piece of that fifth wheel in this, that fifth spoke in the wheel. When we talk about neighborhoods, those 5 pillars to build a community, and that they're helping fix that. So it's not just you're here to do labor, and then we work with them. So at first, the staff, I came here last year and mentioned to the body that we were going to do this program. I brought a presentation in, and as promised, we're doing it. And that was the other thing is these folks, they come back. So we work them hard, and we work just as hard. And they see that we're working with them. They come back for the next Thursday. So for Elyria, we do every other Thursday for Elyria, and then we do every Thursday for Lorain. And so we'll end up expanding it to the rest of the county as well. But it would be up to the judges. They have to be able to be willing to assign us the community service workers.
Mr. Adams, have you tried to partner up with the SOS Serving Our Streets team with the Lorain County Urban League?
No,
Being that this is a neighborhood initiative right now that you're working on?
No, sir, not yet. And so we started in August. We're looking at, what's that workload? We were able to go to every other week because it's actually not that large of a workload. We caught up real quick. There's a good percentage, over 90% of the people when we do orders comply with the orders. So there aren't that many that get to the point where we have to provide these cleanups. And when we get there, we're moving maybe a half a ton of material and debris when we're at those properties, but certainly open to working with any organization. It's just, I wanted to, when I mentioned to the crews that to our health department employees that we're going to do this, they're like, what? What are we going to do? No, I promise you'll like it. So they really do like it, and they do a round robin to sign up for it because they want to be part of it. So I see it eventually growing into much larger things.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else have any other questions? Ms. Davis?
Through you, Mr. President. My question is COVID kits still available free at the health department?
Yes, ma'am.
That's one question. And I just wanted, through you, Chair, I want to say thank you, because when you give shots at the health department, they don't hurt like they do everywhere else. So if you want a COVID shot and you're afraid, I'm advocating that you go to the health department.
Mrs. Davis, I will tell the
They
nurses.
are really good at the health department.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you for, we appreciate you coming up, sharing. You're always welcome here. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, I'd just like to say, next time, Kiana, you come up to speak to us, you can see us beforehand, because you can speak on the remarks of the city officials. So, because usually it's not, next time you have to speak to us, come see us first, because we'll have you speak at a different point in the meeting. But thank you. Okay. Christopher Johnson, 1158 Garden Street, subject to Sergeant Walker of EPD.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
How are you guys? My name is Christopher Johnson. I live at 1158 Garden Street. That'd be, I believe, Ward 6. My concerns are for the Elyria Police Department. I was falsely charged for assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, obstruction, and menacing on July 21st of 2024. And in that incident there, I was charged for assault on a police officer for supposedly closing my front door on Sergeant Walker on his face, and the door supposedly closed and smashed his finger, and he charged me for assault on an officer for that. But in body camera and in the video that my fiance took, it sits there and shows that I never closed the front door. And in regards to me closing my front door, it's in video that Sergeant Walker barreled in my front door, grabbed me up by my throat with both hands around my throat, slammed me on my stairs, put his knee in my face, his knee in my throat, where you could hear me gasp for air because his knee went into my windpipe, and then dragged me down the stairs. As he started to drag me down the stairs, I went into a seizure, started to have a seizure. My head got stuck in between the door frame, the stairs, and the wall, and he grabbed me by my arm, just yanking me up, trying to just get me out the doorway, and then putting me in handcuffs, not rendering to me having a seizure. And it's in video and on body camera after they put me in handcuffs, him sitting there stating that I faked a seizure, and the reason why he barreled through the door was, quote unquote, words that came out of his mouth is because I fucking slammed the door in his face.
Excuse me.
That was words on words from the officer.
I understand that, but that's an appropriate comment, wording, language in this.
I just think I was inappropriately handled, and this is the second time with Sergeant Walker where he had this incident where he's grabbed somebody up by their throat. It happened 3 years ago in 2021 with a 16-year-old on the same street that it happened with me. A couple months prior to that, this officer also shot and killed a dog going through a warrant. I mean, something needs to be done. The chief coming upstairs sat there and harassed me coming up the stairs, sitting there saying, "Oh, you're Christopher Johnson? You're the dude that slammed the door in my sergeant's face?" EPD needs to be held accountable. I called the safety department. I got told by Jay to contact, what's his name? Captain Welsh. Captain Welsh advised me that they reviewed everything, and then Sergeant Walker wasn't violating excessive force, which is 100% excessive force. And mind you, EPD, they all have body cameras on. Sergeant Walker did not have his body camera on his placard at all. He didn't have it on his person at all. It wasn't going on at all. You go through Elyria's Facebook page for Elyria Police, you can sit there and see there's multiple pictures of Sergeant Walker on Elyria's Facebook page.
Point of order, Mr. President.
With no body camera on.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Something needs to be done.
You're-
Elyria
Mr.
Elyria
Johnson,
Police needs
you're-
to be held accountable.
Mr. Johnson, clerk, your 3 minutes are up. That's what we have for our public comments. for
All I'm
3
going to
minutes.
sit there and say is Elyria Police needs to be held accountable because it's crazy that they could go around doing this.
Okay,
crap.
Mr. Johnson, thank you.
My voice shouldn't be silent. I should be heard.
You were heard. We have a 3-minute comment on this.
TJ Fordyce?
Excuse me, TJ.
TJ Fordyce, 150 Bath Street, EPD, subject to EPD.
TJ Fordyce, 150 Bath Street. Some of you I've spoken with. Excuse me one second. So I'm going to talk really quietly while you guys listen to this. Probably really hard to hear what I'm saying, right? This is June 13th. One of 96 calls I made to EPD. Miss Davis, I talked to you on the phone multiple times before my false arrest. You fell off the bandwagon. Pianowski, Brubaker, calls to your office. Verizon statements don't lie. 127 days. Pianowski, I know you're smiling right now because you're on the list too, buddy. 127 days deems today. U.S. Marshals picked up the case officially today. EPD officially today, when they know I was coming here, 19 Action News showing up, they officially deemed me a victim of a hate crime because for 127 days I've had my life threatened. And you guys have done nothing. Vic Stewart, President Stewart, met with me on August 22nd at Bob Evans in Elyria for almost 3 hours. I laid out my information. 127 days of me working fiercely in my house while victim of fireworks catching my house on fire. My dogs, who you're going to hear very soon about Goddard's Law coming to fruition in Elyria, because you made my dogs suffer. I don't care if these people kill me for being a fag, is what they've called me. I'm sorry if that's offensive. I'm so sorry for anybody. But I've been threatened to be raped in the street. I've been threatened to be killed for being gay. I had false charges. While I have evidence, Pianowski knows about this, Miss Davis knows about this, Mr. Stewart seen the video that shows I was falsely arrested. But nothing's done. These, if you guys want to pass these around, these are the remnants of high-capacity fireworks, as you heard them there, that can be seen up to 8 miles, proven by national statistics. There's the Burning Emperor ones that caught my deck on fire, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 separate times. I've power washed my deck 3 times now. Those stains are still there. The only reason why these are the sounds of the cement clusters that were chucked. Keep smiling, Pianowski. You think this is funny to you, man. Because I have how many calls to your office and you never called me back? Keep thinking this is funny, because these rocks that were chucked at my car last night and the night before, leaving dents in my property, while I turned my fence into a gate, folks, because they put an M80 next to my gas tank. Now, guess what I did? I pulled the actual blueprints of Bath Street, and underneath my car was the gas line that not only connects my house, but 3 adjacent houses. If that M80 would have set my car on fire, guess how many deaths you would have on your hands?
Mr. Fordyce, so that we have a 3-minute.
Correct, and I would like to put in a request for extended time due to the egregious situation. I would dare someone to vote against it.
Through you,
No
Mr.
one's made a
President,
motion.
is there a motion to
There's a
extend
motion to
time?
kind of extend the time for Mr. Fordyce for his comments.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr.
To
Lippian.
extend the time by 1 minute.
Mr. Lippian has made a motion, second by Ms. Davis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. You have 1 minute, Mr. Fordyce.
1 minute starting now, sir. June 2nd was my first phone call. The video you heard was the fireworks that were sent over my property line. In the midst of this bundle of evidence that I'm willing to show every single one of you, like I showed Mr. Stewart, like I offered to show you, Ms. Davis, for weeks. Mr. Pianowski, Mr. Brubaker, I called your office 8 times. Again, before any of you guys decide to make a statement that I never called you, Verizon screenshots don't lie. The first 7 calls to EPD is actually still missing, hence why the FBI picked the case up. I'm telling you right now, what you guys did to me, what you're doing to me, what you did to him, Sergeant Walker is behind most of it. And the man showed up at my house to have me illegally detained again after I was already put in jail falsely for 14 hours. You took me away from my dogs for 14 hours too long. And Brubaker, I blame you because you knew I called you many times before I got arrested illegally.
Mr. Fordyce,
And you
your
did nothing.
your time is up. Thank you.
Come and see me. I will give all my contact information. I tried with you also too, Mr. Lippian. Mr. Stewart, step up or step aside, sir. The fact that text I have from you, sir.
Mr. Fordyce.
Yeah, you can silence me now, buddy. But the text I have from you that you're too busy to take care, my life is in danger. What happens if one of these hit my head?
Mr.
What
Fordyce,
happens
your
if one of
time
these
is
hit my
up.
dog's head?
Mr. Fordyce, your time is
Nothing.
up.
Death. That's what you guys wait for is death. Blake. 127 days. You all knew about it. Davis, Lippian, Stewart, Rubin. Your son is your name.
Mr. Fordyce, I'm asking you to silence, please.
That's all the petitions from the lobby.
Chief Pelko, would you please escort Mr. Fordyce out?
Council President, can I just make a comment about decorum in the hall before any further speeches are given?
I think I made it pretty clear that it's unacceptable for the language that's happening over and through here. So I understand. If you want to make a comment, make it brief, please.
No, just that I understand that passions can flare and tensions can rise. Let's all do our best to keep a cool head and speak respectfully to each other, because that's the only way we're going to resolve issues, is if we can keep a cool head and speak respectfully. That's all I wanted to say.
Petitions and remonstrances from council members.
There are none.
Reports of standing and special committees.
There are none.
Resolutions, first reading.
We have one, sponsored by Finance, a resolution approving the list of properties for the collection of emergency temporary repair costs and/or demolition-related costs, and directing the clerk of council to certify said costs to Lorraine County Auditor.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2024-37. That's all resolutions first reading.
Resolutions, second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions, third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances, first reading.
Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application for and accept, if offered, a Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative, TLCI grant, said funding to be for the city of Elyria, TLCI Phrase 7 project, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I would ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2024-156. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale not to exceed 21 million of notes in anticipation for the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying costs of constructing, furnishing, and equipping a new central maintenance garage facility for the storage and maintenance of city-owned motor vehicles and equipment, including spaces for consumable material storage, vehicle washing, fueling facilities, decontamination, evidence storage for the city's police department, and office and administrative functions and declare, and cleaning equipment and improving its site.
Law Director Deary before.
Thank you, through you, Mr. President. Just briefly, I would note that the committee did indicate its preference to have this passed on emergency. However, in speaking with Finance Director Pileski and also our bond counsel, Attorney Sharp, the legislation was prepared. It will take 30 days to go into effect anyways. Therefore, it's requested that it would be passed on suspension of rules and without the emergency clause. And that is how it was prepared.
Thank you, Law Director Deary. Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I would ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Stewart?
Ms. Sawerka?
Thank
Or,
you.
and then Mr. Tolet, did you have another comment?
No. I just
Thank-
wanted to catch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say again, on the record, I'm for this. It's a great project. We need it. We also need a fire station on the southeast side of Elyria, and I don't want that to be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worker. Is there any further discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2024-157. That's all ordinances first reading.
Ordinance's second reading.
An ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 1135 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, to Hubert Oliver, Legacy 34, and Hubert Oliver for a restaurant at real property located at 460 Cleveland Street, Elyria, Ohio.
I declare this ordinance has had its second reading. Public hearing is scheduled for October 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m.
That's all the ordinances for second reading.
Ordinance's third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on Tuesday, 10/15, beginning at 6 p.m. Joint CD Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Tuesday, 10/15, immediately following Community Development. Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Tuesday, 10/15, immediately following the joint meeting. Rules request the Law Director, Finance Director, and Safety Service Director on Wednesday, 10/9, immediately following. Utilities. Utilities requests the Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director on Wednesday, 10/9, beginning at 6 p.m. And Strategic Planning requests the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, and Law Director on Monday, 10/21, immediately following the council.
Very good. Miscellaneous and unfinished business, Ms. Sawerka.
Thank you, through you, Mr. President. I just want some clarification on the rules meeting on Wednesday. The subject matter is the changes to 165 in the policy manual. Are we going to get finalized copies of those sooner than later so that we're not asked to vote on a document that we got for 10 minutes before the meeting?
I believe, through you, Mr. President, I think they were sent out weeks or not months ago.
Those were the final documents? There were changes that were
There
sent
were
back?
changes to the 165, not to the personnel manual, as I recall, and I believe that the revised 165 rules were sent out. I can confirm that tomorrow, but that was my understanding, yes.
Through you, Mr. President, I just feel that we should have the most current documents and have some time to look through them before we vote on them.
I would agree, and I believe that you do, but I'll confirm that tomorrow.
Thank you.
And if so, if they could even still resend them back out, even though they were current date. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, thank you. Mr. Lippian?
Through you, Mr. President. I just don't want it to be lost in the midst of the cacophony that we had earlier, that our police keep us safe, and that we rely on them to keep peace in our streets. And what we saw in this meeting today was an uproarious, unchained cacophony that disrupted the regular business of council. I appreciate Council President for not tolerating it. I think it's important that the concerns of others be brought to the fore, but they have to be brought with a sense of decorum. And it just shouldn't be lost on us that police are human beings too. All human beings make mistakes, myself foremost among them. but I truly have had my life saved by Elyria Police before, and I just don't want that to be lost in the midst of everything that went on, that we forget just how critical a lifeline of protection and support the police and the fire are to our city, while acknowledging everybody's human and everybody makes mistakes.
Mr. Lippi and Mr. Tolet.
Through you, Mr. President, and for the public and for everybody in here, you see that the public media was in here for one side of the story, and then they left. And this is what we all have to deal with. So as this moves forward, I want everybody to remember this moment when the police were attacked, and it'll be reported from one side only. Please remember that. It's not fair, and it's not right, and it's not moral. So keep that, and that's for public record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolet. Is there any other further comments? If not, Ms. Mitchell.
Mr. President, seeing none, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Second by Mr. Sarah. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This meeting's adjourned.
Why are they in the 15th? Am I missing something, or do we got a holiday that I don't know about?
Because